In this video, I'm sharing 9 tips to help you grow your virtual private practice as a dietitian. Using Instagram doesn't have to be challenging when you know exactly what to do when you're on the platform to attract cash-paying clients and enroll them into your services. I'm Libby Rothschild, founder of Dietitian Boss. I help female dietitians all over the world use social media marketing to get cash-paying clients. I specialize in helping you go from zero to growing a 6-figure virtual practice. Let's get started. Tip 1, start. Might seem obvious, but in order for you to attract cash-paying clients, you have to get started. And what that means is you're showing up consistently on social media and in different ways. That means on Instagram, you are creating content on a daily basis, at least 5 times a week. And for your stories, you're posting a story, if not every day, at least 3-4 times a week, and you're showing your face at least twice a week. And the reason that you want this consistency is because in order for people to see you, know you, like you, and trust you, you have to show up and you have to be a resource for them. And that only happens when you're consistent with using the platform. Tip 2, open an Instagram feed. Now, if you haven't done this already, you're going to need to start an account. I do suggest that you use a business account, which is linked up with Facebook. Now, if you have a personal feed and you want to use your personal feed and transition it into a business feed, you can do that. So you have 2 choices. You can either keep your personal feed separate from your business feed, meaning you're going to start a new feed, or you can transition your personal feed into a business feed, but just keep in mind that some of the content you have on your personal feed might need to be archived or deleted to make sure that the feed that you're creating and the community and the entire just setup, it really aligns with the person who you're trying to reach out to so that there's a lot of consistency and continuity with your messaging. Tip 3, show your face. So if you follow me on Instagram, you probably hear me talking about that all the time. In fact, I encourage you to use that hashtag and tag me because I'm going to hold you accountable to doing it. Now, when I say show your face, I do mean on your feed, like actually showing up on your feed consistently, at least once or twice a week, and also in your stories, and not just a selfie, although that's a great start. I mean video, talking, saying hello, because every time you have more touch points and people can really hear you and see you and know what you're about, you have a better chance of building a deeper relationship. And when people know you and like you and trust you because you've showed up and let them know who you are, they're more likely to apply for your services, and that's going to help you fill your coaching spots. Tip 4, create content on social media for them and not for you. Now, this one's so many of my clients struggle with. And I get it because we want to create content that we like and that we relate with and that we feel good about. And where that is true to an extent, you always want to be thinking about the customer first, meaning the ideal client, the perfect customer, the person that you're trying to serve. So for me, for example, when I'm creating content on Instagram, I'm thinking, what would my perfect ideal client, the female registered dietitian who I market to, what would she like to see? And what would resonate with her? And what would make her feel good, and what would inspire her and encourage her, motivate her, and entertain her. And that answer is shown in my content. And I make sure that I'm consistently creating information and inspiring quotes, captions, visual stories that she wants to see. And I think of myself as being a representation of my brand, but I put her, my ideal client, first. And when you can think in terms of putting your ideal client first, that's going to help you attract more people who you want to work with, and then you'll end up really enjoying the people who will apply to work with you because you'll be really aligned. When your marketing is aligned with who you want to serve and there's a lot of clarity and specificity, then you'll more likely get those people to apply to work with you because attracting cash-paying clients into your business is easy when you're consistent in your messaging. What I mean by this is you're going to want to learn how do they speak, your ideal client. What are the words that they use and say? What are the emojis that they like? What colors do they like? Where do they hang out? What are similar accounts and feeds that they like to follow? What are the hashtags that they're browsing every day? And when you can get more clear on this information and know the person very well that you're trying to reach out to, you have a better chance of connecting with this person. And when you can connect with her in any way, shape, or form, you have a better chance of building relationship. And remember, Instagram is all about building relationships, and you have an opportunity to do that very easily when you know who you're serving. For example, when I first started, I went through dietitian hashtags, dietitian to be, RD to be, RD eats, things like that. And what I did by going through those hashtags is I learned what are dietitians saying and doing. And when I first started, I'm not a photographer, so I featured other users' accounts. I started featuring accounts that I saw on the top hashtags from Dietitian Eats and Dietitians of Instagram. And I featured these users and gave them credit, and they were vegan smoothie bowls and a lot of like really beautiful smoothie bowls. And although that wasn't exactly very aligned with solving a problem for what I was trying to do, which is business coaching, what I did is I related to dietitians, and they ended up knowing me and liking me and trusting me. I was empowering them and giving them credit for the work that they were doing on Instagram, and that helped me get started. Again, that's an example of me using language and words and visuals that my ideal client understands, right? So my ideal client is a dietitian, and she loves food, and she loves food that's pretty. So when I'm able to create that visual effect and empower a dietitian, that's helping me get one step closer to speaking her language. So I want you to think in terms of who you're serving and how you can take that idea and make it your own. Tip 5, now on that conversation, I want you to narrow down who are you talking to? And what that means is you've created an ideal client profile. And you've heard me talking about this for a while if you've been following me on social media. And what I mean by that is, what is this person's name? What's their age? Where do they live? What's their occupation? And then I want you to go deeper and think, what are their pains and concerns and fears? What are their biggest struggles? And then I want you to think about what are their hopes and dreams. And I want you to narrow this person down, because quite often when my clients do this exercise, they give a really wide range or a very general type of person. So for example, my clients will say, oh, a millennial woman, ages, let's say 28 to 35, or they'll say 28 to 40. And then I'll encourage you to narrow that down, because that's not very specific. So when you're thinking of one person, you want this type of person to stand out. So you want to think of one age, and then the person has one occupation, and you want to think of one gender. And when your messaging is really clear and aligned with one person, you have a better chance of identifying where this person is, relating with her, and then building know, like, and trust with her, and then selling to her. So again, for purposes of clarity and creating content that aligns with your marketing message, you want to narrow down who your ideal client is and stop being so general. So a lot of you that say ages 30 to 50, or a 30 to 40-year-old woman, and you say something like a busy woman, or a millennial, or a mom, it's not specific enough. So you're going to have to get deeper and really understand, who is this person, what are her characteristics, and where is she hanging out? Because one of my biggest tips on how to really understand your market is to find out who this person is and then go where she is. If you're reaching out to people who are of faith, then you want to go to communities where people who are Christian, Catholic, or whatever denomination they identify with, go where they go, right? But you won't know that if you don't get clear and narrow down who this person is. Tip 6, no clinical speak. So this one bugs me a lot. And I know in school as clinicians, right, a lot of us have a master's degree, PhD, etc. We're very well trained. And as dietitians, we love to talk about really complicated words that nobody understands. But that type of language is not helpful for the client. And in fact, it can make them feel like they actually are disconnected from our messaging. And so instead of using really big words, unless if you're reaching out to another healthcare provider or another physician, you want to be using words that your ideal client identifies with. So let me give you an example. Instead of gastroparesis, you want to say bloat. Instead of 10% weight loss, you want to say lose 5 or 10 or 7 pounds, right? So take any kind of clinical language that you know or think, and then I want you to find a way to use those words in a version that consumers understand. And then bonus points if you can find a way to use those words in context of what your ideal client understands and resonates with. Because remember, the whole reason we're doing this, the reason that we're building our feed and attracting cash paying clients into our business, into our private practice, is to help them. And we can't help people and increase our visibility if they don't connect with us. And so we have to take our education and find a way to take those words and concepts and make it really easy and bite-sized for consumers to understand. So again, always about them, not as much about us. So we have to take our, specialty and subject matter and find a way to take it down a notch, and then take it down 5 more notches, and then take it down from there. Tip 7, applying for legal business. So you want to check wherever you're located, If you're in the US, check what state and just look up how you can become registered as a business. Typically, you can do that online. Tip 8, take payment. You can use Stripe, Square, PayPal, and you can either take payment over the phone. So when you're on a sales call, you can just pull out your phone, pull out an app, and go ahead and take payment over the phone, and then you can email the receipt, or you can send an invoice. And that's actually really easy to do. Again, you can use processors such as Stripe, Square, PayPal. You can use an EMR, electronic medical record, but guess what? Not necessary. You don't need an EMR to get started, and you absolutely don't need an EMR to take payment. So using Stripe or Square or PayPal is absolutely sufficient, and that's the way I got started, and that's the way a lot of my clients get started too. Tip 9, get a client contract. When you're working with clients and you want to have some protection of your license, you want to have them sign a legal contract anytime you take payment technically. Now, I have a legal bundle that my lawyer has created, so you can check the link below and go ahead and grab that. And in the legal bundle, there's a bunch of information that can help protect you. I think the most pertinent document in that legal bundle is the client contract. And so when you are taking money, meaning through Stripe, Square, PayPal, from a client for coaching services in a virtual capacity, you want to have them sign a document just to protect you and to protect the client. And so in doing that, go ahead and grab my contract below, grab that bundle, and just make sure that you are set up. So in closing, what you need to get your business started is a lot less than you think. So in closing, what you need to get started in your virtual private practice is showing up on Instagram, narrowing down who you're talking to, creating content for them and not for you, not using clinical speak so that you can make sure that your message resonates with the person you're trying to speak to. Finally, you have to be able to take payment, and you can do that very easily. You want to look into wherever you live and get a legal business. And then finally, have some type of very simple client contract. And I have one linked below that my lawyer made just for you. It's a client contract that you can use when you're accepting payment from clients so that you can go ahead and get your business up and going. This is not as complicated as you think it is, and you can start from your clinical office. After all, that's what I did just a little bit over a year ago. Now, I want you to comment below and let me know which tip stood out to you the most. If you're a dietitian, a female dietitian who's looking to grow her private practice, whether you're starting from nothing or maybe you've got a few clients already and you want to use Instagram marketing to attract cash paying clients into your business, I want you to apply for my small group coaching program. I walk you through step by step how to use Instagram marketing to attract clients and enroll them into your coaching business.